How much did I spend on my 1989 Mondial T, which I didn't buy in the best state. It had 13,000 miles and I thought it was the greatest deal in the world, but guess what? It sat for so long that, well, when I brought her home, she was broken for months. But let's start with the tires. The tires cost me $966. Next was the air filter, which was just a cheap one was in there. It was falling apart, very straightforward. So $84 for that. Next was the adjustment screw, which cost me $48. And if you guys were watching the channel, you know how much I hated that screw. It gave me all the emotions beyond confusion, happiness, anger. So now it's just a little souvenir I have. The alternator, I got lucky with that one because for a 348 or this car, they go roughly anywhere from $400 to like $1,000 because most of them are used, authentic. But I got lucky, it cost me $80 to rebuild it. Alternator belt, actually belts because there's two of them, $58, got blown off. And then I put the original one and then that one blown off. The last one is still in here and it's good to go. The alternator bearing, the clip, and the hardware, I had to change them because it was wobbling and it was just not in good condition. It cost me $40. So I needed to go to a machine shop called Yumuri. So they installed the bearing for me for $80. They also found some damage in the spindle part of it, so they fixed that as well. And also for rethreading the bracket that held the whole tension assembly, they charged me $50. So altogether, $130 for the machine shop. Next is the battery, which cost me $240. Since I know I'm not gonna drive this car every day, I got a trickle charger, spent $90 on that. I gotta get some new wipers, cost me $40, not too bad. In the trunk, we had a missing panel that covers this antenna and I just didn't want it to get damaged or anything, and plus it looked ugly. That cost me $65. Then I changed the glove box, which is not really like a glove box what you're used to. It's just this little opening part next to the shifter. That cost me $83. The original one was burnt, it was ugly. I figured it was an eyesore, so let me change it. But this car was so filthy that the amount of degreasers, chemicals, brushes, wipes, everything, that cost me $120 in itself. But the wheel wells look amazing now. Now for the oil change. I'm gonna have to look at this paper because we got a lot of things. So the main oil filter, $44. The pickup filter, which is another filter that's in the dry sump tank, that costs $9.50. The clip that holds that filter, $15.50. Didn't have to change it, but you know what? I didn't know until then. The gasket, $3.50, and it's a really cheap gasket. I recommend making your own with something way better, to be honest. The plug and the hardware, everything else that I needed, $8.50. And the oil, $118. This whole oil change cost me $199. This car almost takes 3 gallons of oil. I never even knew cars took that much oil. And I had to do it because one, the car was neglected, so I was worried about the condition of the oil. Two, there was an oil leak, so I wanted to change the gaskets, the hardware and everything. You know, three, is just better to do everything yourself, change everything